Norway, a land of majestic fjords, northern lights, and rich cultural heritage, has a history as dramatic and varied as its landscape. From the ice-covered wilderness of prehistory to the sleek modernity of today's social democracy, Norway's story spans thousands of years, shaped by exploration, conquest, independence, and resilience. The first humans to arrive in what is now Norway came over 10,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. As the glaciers retreated, small groups of hunter-gatherers followed migrating reindeer and other game into the new tundra and forests. Archaeological evidence shows that these early Norwegians lived off the land, using stone tools and living in simple shelters. Over time, as agriculture spread northward from Europe, Norwegian communities began to settle, farm, and develop more permanent villages. By the Bronze and Iron Ages, Norwegian society had become increasingly complex, with signs of trade, regional leadership, and religious practices. But it was during the Viking Age, beginning around 800 AD, that Norway would begin to make its mark on the world. The Vikings were seafarers, explorers, warriors, and traders, and Norwegians were among the most daring. They built advanced longships and sailed across treacherous seas to raid, trade, and settle throughout Europe. Norwegian Vikings reached as far as the British Isles, Ireland, France, and even the Mediterranean. They settled Iceland, Greenland, and for a brief time, North America, in a place they called Vinland, likely present-day Newfoundland in Canada. These voyages marked the beginning of a Norwegian presence on the global stage. The Viking Age was also a time of political consolidation. According to legend and early records, King Harald Fairhair unified much of Norway after the Battle of True around 872 AD. Establishing the first centralized Norwegian kingdom. His descendants, however, would face centuries of challenges from regional chieftains, rival monarchs, and foreign powers. During the 10th and 11th centuries, Norway began to convert to Christianity. Missionaries from England, Germany, and other parts of Europe brought the new faith, but it was Norwegian kings like Olaf Tryggvason and Olaf II Haraldsson, later known as Saint Olaf, who pushed for full conversion, often by force. Christianity brought new alliances, literacy through the Latin alphabet, and closer ties to the rest of Europe. By the High Middle Ages, Norway was a major regional power. The kingdom reached its greatest territorial extent under King Håkon Håkonsson in the 13th century, who ruled over Norway, Iceland, Greenland, the Faroe Islands, and parts of Scotland. During this period, Norway experienced a golden age of trade, law, and cultural development. However, this era of strength was not to last. In 1349, the Black Death arrived in Norway and devastated the population, killing over half the people. The plague weakened the kingdom economically and politically, leading to the gradual decline of Norwegian independence. In 1380, Norway entered into a personal union with Denmark when King Olaf of Denmark also inherited the Norwegian crown. This would begin centuries of Danish dominance over Norway. In 1397, the Kalmar Union was formed, uniting Denmark, Norway, and Sweden under a single monarch. Though the union was supposed to be equal, Denmark quickly became the dominant partner. Sweden eventually broke away in the 16th century, but Norway remained tethered to Danish rule. For over 400 years, Norway was governed from Copenhagen. The country became a provincial backwater, its nobility weakened, its language and culture overshadowed by Danish influence. During this time, the Lutheran Reformation swept through Scandinavia. In Norway, Catholicism was replaced by Lutheran Protestantism, and church property was confiscated. The Danish crown consolidated its control, and the Norwegian church became a branch of the state. Despite foreign rule, Norwegian identity persisted. The rugged geography, isolated communities, and strong folk traditions helped preserve a distinct culture. By the 18th and early 19th centuries, a growing sense of national consciousness began to emerge. The Napoleonic Wars would prove to be a turning point. Denmark-Norway sided with Napoleon, and after Napoleon's defeat, the Treaty of Kiel in 1814 forced Denmark to cede Norway to Sweden. But Norway did not accept this quietly. In 1814, Norwegian leaders convened at Eidsvoll and declared independence, drafting a liberal constitution inspired by American and French models. They elected a Danish prince, Christian Frederick, as king. However, Sweden invaded and forced Norway into a personal union. While Norway remained in union with Sweden, it retained its constitution, parliament, the Storting, and a high degree of domestic autonomy. Throughout the 19th century, Norwegian nationalism grew stronger. Romantic artists, poets, and historians celebrated Norway's Viking past and natural beauty. The national language, once suppressed, was revived. Rural culture, once seen as backward, became a source of pride. Politically, Norwegians pushed for more control and greater independence. This long and patient campaign culminated in 1905 when the union with Sweden was peacefully dissolved. Norway held a referendum, and the people overwhelmingly supported full independence. The country offered the throne to Prince Karl of Denmark, who became King Haakon VII of Norway, marking the beginning of Norway's modern monarchy. In the early 20th century, Norway remained neutral in World War I, but was economically affected by the conflict. During the interwar years, Norway saw political changes, including the rise of labor movements and the expansion of democratic rights. But World War II would once again thrust Norway into the spotlight. In 1940, Nazi Germany invaded Norway to secure strategic positions and access to iron ore shipments from Sweden. The Norwegian government fled to Britain, and King Haakon VII refused to abdicate or cooperate with the occupiers. A strong resistance movement emerged within Norway, and the exiled government contributed to the Allied war effort. After 5 years of occupation, Norway was liberated in 1945. In the post-war period, Norway rebuilt its economy and modernized its infrastructure. The country joined the United Nations and became a founding member of NATO in 1949, aligning with the West during the Cold War. It developed a mixed economy and strong social welfare system, balancing capitalism with state support for healthcare, education, and pensions. A major turning point came in the late 1960s when vast oil and gas reserves were discovered in the North Sea. These discoveries transformed Norway into one of the wealthiest countries on Earth. The government established Statoil, now Equinor, and created the Government Pension Fund Global, a sovereign wealth fund designed to invest oil revenues for the benefit of future generations. Thanks to this prudent management, Norway avoided many of the pitfalls of resource-dependent economies. It used its wealth to build a strong, inclusive society with world-class public services and infrastructure. By the 21st century, Norway ranked among the top nations in the world for quality of life. Human development, gender equality, environmental sustainability, and democratic governance. Culturally, Norway embraced both its traditions and global trends. From Edvard Munch's expressionist art to the global success of Norwegian literature, music, and film, the country's creative output flourished. Norway also remained committed to peace diplomacy and international cooperation, often playing the role of mediator in global conflicts. Despite its success, Norway continues to wrestle with modern challenges. The balance between oil wealth and environmental responsibility, integration of immigrants, and maintaining its social model in a changing global economy remain major themes. Yet its stability, prosperity, and strong institutions continue to make it a model for others. Today, Norway is a proud constitutional monarchy with King Harald Fairhair as its ceremonial head of state and a strong parliamentary democracy led by an elected prime minister. Though not a member of the European Union, Norway participates in the European Economic Area and remains tightly connected to European and global institutions. Its people enjoy a rare combination of personal freedom, economic security, and natural beauty. From the icy survival of its first settlers to its rise as a global leader in peace, prosperity, and environmental sustainability, Norway's journey is one of endurance, vision, and transformation. It is a country that has preserved its ancient roots while embracing a modern, progressive future, one fjord, one vote, and one generation at a time.